So I'm Allison with IBP, the Institute for Broadening Participation, and you'll be hearing from David Siegfried in a little bit. So welcome again. Thank you for joining us. We're going to cover some basic broadening participation resources today that are easily available to you, and we're going to make some recommendations on how to use them. But first, 60 seconds of context about IBP for any of you who may be unfamiliar with us before today. So we've been in action since 2003, and our mission is to increase diversity in the STEM workforce. So for over a decade now, we've been increasing access for underrepresented students to STEM funding and STEM educational and professional development opportunities, and also to the resources that help students pursue those opportunities and succeed in their aspirations. Fields and retention in STEM fields and careers, that's our goal. And our activities support students from K through 12 through college and grad school to postdoctoral and right into early career. On the other side of the equation, we also do outreach to faculty and administrators like this webinar today, doing what we can to support your efforts to broaden participation and increase diversity, your efforts to recruit, retain, and support underrepresented students in STEM. And the basic resources we're going to cover today serve this purpose. So here's a brief overview of what we're going to cover. We'll go at it one at a time. On the Pathways to Science.org website, we're going to talk about posting your program there and why you would want to do that, which has to do with the extensive outreach that we do to underrepresented groups and underserved communities. We're going to check out the professional development resources that are available on the site for students that you can tap for your own purposes. We're going to look at a few more resources on the site that are especially for faculty and administrators and why you might find them useful in supporting or growing your own broadening participation efforts. And lastly, before we move into the Q&A session, David will talk briefly about some of our evaluation and assessment efforts that we would like to invite your participation and involvement in. So moving right along into our first recommendation for you, which is posting your program or your funding opportunity to the Pathways to Science.org website. This is the low-hanging fruit. So why would you want to do this? Because IBP staff and a group of folks that we call our regional specialists, we have about 15 of them, we conduct extensive outreach year-round to underrepresented students and underserved communities, publicizing the opportunities and resources on the site. So when you post your program to the site, you benefit from all that outreach that we do to underrepresented students. How extensive is our outreach? We do direct face-to-face outreach at over 50 conferences a year, like ACES, SACNAS, the California Forum for Diversity, and a host of others. And we do virtual outreach via over 170,000 emails per year to students in our National Student Directory. So we've been growing this National Student Directory since 2003, and currently it has over 50,000 records of current and former students, over 70% of whom are self-reported underrepresented minority students. And through our own outreach efforts and through data sharing partnerships, the directory is growing every year by about 5,000 to 6,000 students. We tap the directory to send out targeted messages to various groups of students with reminders about upcoming deadlines, like now's the time of year to start thinking about summer research, and with information that is customized for them and relevant to them about funded STEM opportunities. So this slide shows a 4-month period of our fall 2012 email outreach campaign with mailings to both students and also to faculty at minority serving institutions and programs. And it shows the resulting spikes in traffic to the Pathways site in response to those mailings. And we repeat variations of this cycle to targeted groups also in the winter and the spring and the summer. And as a result of this kind of continued outreach for the last decade, the traffic to the Pathways site has grown continually, and we now get peaks of over 130,000 visits per month at peak times of the year, as you can see from this graphic, which shows the growth in the number of visitors to the Pathways site from November 2003 to November of 2013. So all of that is just to say, take advantage of that outreach and that web traffic, and post your website or opportunity here. If it's not already, it might very well be there. It's easy to post online. The program form is right on our homepage. Post your program. You can read about what we post. And more importantly, perhaps, it's also easy to update every year because we send out annual reminders to program contacts to update their postings via a direct link to their online program form. So moving along from post your program to recommendation number 2, which is tap our online search tools and professional development resources and archived webinars for your students. We have done the work of creating and compiling professional development resources because we know 2 things. First, that some of you don't have the time to do this, and we want to make it easy for you to incorporate professional development for your students into your program. And second, we know that professional development skill building is invaluable to retaining students in STEM. It helps them succeed in their current endeavors right in your program, and it helps them progress in the STEM pipeline. So professional development is about retention. So if you need professional development resources for your students, we're going to tour some here and take these, tap them, and use them as you see fit. For example, you can help your students find what comes next for them, like next year's summer research program, or potential graduate programs and grad funding, or professional development experience or postdoc placements by using this search tool right here. If you point students to this, they will have access to a lot of opportunities. This is the postcard that we give out to students publicizing the search tools and the opportunities on the site. And with over 1,500 posted opportunities there, ranging from high school level through undergrad, grad, postdoc, and even early career, there's likely something there for everyone. And all of it is searchable by discipline, keyword, institution, and under the advanced search, a host of other criteria as well, which we'll see in just a moment. So students can sign up also right here on the homepage online to receive those mailings from us a few times a year with those reminders about upcoming deadlines and information for them customized to their interests and academic level, about program and funding opportunities. And when they sign up like this, it immediately puts resources into their hands that will help them bridge to future STEM opportunities and help them succeed in the long run. So this is a great support tool for students out there when they join the student directory and sign up to receive this information. So as you can see at the bottom of this slide, the opportunities on the site come from many funding sources, everything from NSF and NASA, NOAA, NIH, Environmental Protection Agency and USDA, Departments of Energy, Education, and Defense. And when students go to the website and hit this search function, it brings up the basic search page. And they can do a basic search right here, like undergrad students. They can pick a variety of fields, being kind of general or very specific. Or they can also go to our advanced search page right here And if they do that, they have the opportunity to add more criteria. So here we'll try one with undergrad students. They can enter a specific institution. They can choose when programs start or end, whether they're looking for international experience abroad, if the funding is portable or fixed, their particular funder. We'll go ahead and put NSF here. They can look for a particular program affiliation, like NSF RU. Then they can choose their field. They can even enter keywords. So when I go ahead and do that search that I just entered in, with NSF RU programs in Earth, Environmental, and Agricultural Sciences, we get back 147 opportunities for students to scroll down through and take a look at. So when a student picks a posting and clicks on it, I've pulled one up here, such as this one, they'll see a brief description of the program. And this one shows program components and eligibility. So this is what students will be looking at when you enter this information for your program. Usually there's an application deadline. I suspect this one has already passed since it's a program for this summer. There are program dates, associated fields of study, program materials such as the brochure, and a link that goes directly to the program website. So that link is both here and right at the top of the posting as well. And this RU has a great website. If I were a student, I think I'd like to go there. So in addition to this search function that helps students find opportunities, there are other professional development resources for students I'm going to give you a quick tour of. We have our resources library right here in this column on the left, and it pulls up a handful of resources, both for students and faculty, but first we're going to look at students. In the toolbox, that has our kind of how-to handouts. There's our diversity references library, our mentoring manual, and our webinar archives, where all our webinars are archived, such as this one will be today, or funding your graduate education. That's an old standby for us. But we're going to look in the toolbox at some of these handouts. Down in the left-hand column here. These are all downloadable PDFs, and they range, well, here's some examples for undergraduates. Like when we talk with undergraduates who haven't heard about summer research, we give them this, summer research experiences for undergrads. What's it good for? How does it all work? You know, why would a student be interested in doing a summer research program? Then we give them the tools to talk about undergraduate summer research and graduate school with their family. We have a handout for getting strong letters of recommendation. This is focused on helping them put together strong applications. If you're looking towards grad school, we've got this, what you need to know about applying to grad school, the difference between the graduate and the undergrad experience, because there's a big difference. And we have a checklist of questions to ask grad programs and departments. So as students are researching programs, these are the questions they can keep in mind and remember to get information about. Here are a couple examples of materials for grad level students who might be looking at a postdoc. Here's one about negotiating a postdoc position, and it starts off with, why negotiate at all? Or here's one about when someone's looking for a postdoc opportunity and checking out postdoc advisor, questions to ask before committing. So again, we've compiled these handouts and these materials so that you don't have to. We know that this kind of information can be invaluable to students, and sometimes, I suppose, you know, as an adult, we might forget that. I know that more than once, however, as we've been making these materials, I certainly find myself thinking how much I wish someone had given me this information when I was an undergrad. So don't hold back. Take these, use them if you need them. especially if you have a suggestion for a topic that you think we should address and create a handout for. We would love to hear that suggestion and provide that resource. That would be great information for us. Okay, so moving on from resources for students to resources for faculty. Here's our third recommendation, and that is to use other online resources here to inform and grow your own recruitment, retention, and partnership building efforts. There are a number of features on the site which we'll check out that are especially for faculty and administrators. So use them as you see fit, whether it's to get ideas for strategies or best practices, to get deeper information on certain specific topics, to diagnose what might be going on with diversity and broadening participation efforts in your program, to support your peers as they learn about and get up to speed on diversity or mentoring or broadening participation. So I'm going to take us back to the website here. So again, some of these are in this resource library, which is the page I have open. And going back to the toolbox, just like we have handouts for students, we have PDFs available for faculty in the right-hand column here. And some examples, they range from, here's one about growing the diversity awareness and cultural competency of faculty and partners. Here's one on using social media to build diversity in your REU. Another on, we've called it Designing for Success, positive factors that support success in STEM pathways and reduce barriers to participation. So this focuses on what the positive factors are that support students and how you can implement elements in your program that cultivate those positive factors to support students. So those are some handouts that are available in this toolbox. Back at the resources library, we also have this diversity references page. And it's an annotated collection of peer-reviewed articles and seminal studies and intervention studies that are related to broadening participation in STEM. So we've gone ahead and marked with gold stars what we think are must-read sources for anyone who's getting started and learning about diversity and broadening participation. And you can pull out resources from this collection by various categories, such as the must-reads, or as you see here, demographic patterns of diversity in the sciences and higher education, culturally reliable, valid program evaluation, establishing mutually beneficial partnerships, and it will jump down to that particular topic area. Some of the sources have links to the whole source, and some of them are just citations with a brief summary. Excuse me. So also, back at the resources library, you probably heard me mention the first time we have a mentoring manual. And mentoring is something that has been shown to be a very important positive factor in student success. So important that to encourage sound mentoring practices in faculty and mentors and to help students take responsibility for being great mentees themselves, because that's a two-way street. We've put together this online mentoring manual, and it has sections specifically for undergrads, grads, and postdocs, and it has sections for faculty, and it has sections for faculty directors. So this is here as a resource for anyone who wants to tap it, and it's available right from that resources library. There's also, in this left-hand column, a special search tool for faculty on the site. For faculty who are looking to identify contacts, either for networking or to find partners in diversity, whether it's in your own backyard, at your campus, or at other institutions, and we call it our Partners Directory. And it's a database of over 12,000 faculty and staff contacts at STEM programs across the country, including, among others, NSF AGAP, Advanced, HBCU, UP. You can see you can choose a program affiliation from this drop-down list. And also contacts at community colleges, HBCUs, HSIs, tribal colleges or universities, women's colleges. And you can look for contacts within specific fields as well. I'm not going to wait for that search to come up. Oh, this is what you'll see. And lastly, I want to bring your attention to a final resource for you, which is Ask Us, IBP staff ourselves. So if you have questions or want customized input or recommendations about broadening participation issues that are specific to your program, or you just want a place to start, or there's something you're working on that you'd like input on, we would love to talk with you. So always feel free to just give us a call or drop us an email. Scrolling down, there are about 15 of us on staff. There's me, there's Sig. And with that, we've come to the end of our introduction to broadening participation resources. Returning to our concept map here, you can see there's our Post Your Program. Resources for students. They can search, they can sign up, they can get topic-based handouts, they can access the mentoring manual. Resources for faculty. You can get topic-based handouts, you can access the mentoring manual, you can dig into the diversity reference library, you can use that partners directory to search, you can call on us, we'd love to talk to you. And before we move on to Q&A, our last thing on here that I'd like to touch on and that Sig will talk about a little is that we're seeking programs who would like to participate in some of our eval and assessment processes by committing to a brief annual survey about applicant and participant data and about how you use IBP and other diversity resources, in exchange for which we can give you annual reports showing trends in applicant demographics and influences across participating programs. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Sig, who will say a few more things about this.
Thanks, Allison. So all that we've just presented should give you a good sense of the kinds of resources that IBP provides and activities we conduct to help students and also to assist faculty in extending opportunities and resources to those students. There's a lot that IBP can evaluate in terms of the use of its resources and services. For example, I think we looked at an earlier graphic that showed that we know that targeted email campaigns drive students to our website where they then search for programs. On the website, we can tell what the most popular resources are. We can look at how people search for programs, which programs they search for. We can even tell how many students click over to your program website from our search results pages. And this is all great information that we use to help adjust and refine how we do our outreach and how we present information. We also know how many students and which students we send you in recruitment lists. And we get good attendance and great feedback on our webinars, so on. We've developed these strategies over the years, and we feel confident that they allow us, and by extension, they allow you to reach and engage students. And by all measures, these strategies are working in terms of reach and engagement. In other words, in terms of sheer numbers. But in order to effectively evaluate whether or not those strategies actually lead to application to and participation in your programs, which really is our goal, we need your help. So one way you can help is by participating in an annual survey, which asks you to share statistics about your applicants and participants and about your experiences with IBP resources. Another way is by asking your applicants, if you don't already, how they heard about your program. and even better still, by listing IBP's website, pathwaystoscience.org, as a selectable choice in the application. Another way is by allowing IBP to ask your applicants not only about what may have contributed to their decision to apply to your program in particular, but more broadly about their process of searching for programs and their motivations for applying. So this kind of information can help not only our outreach, but also your and our recruitment efforts. So these are all helpful ways of participating, and the more you can do, the better. As Allison said, all the analysis of the data we collect over the course of the project will, of course, be included in our final project report to NSF and available to the public. But if you participate, you'll also receive interim annual reports containing our detailed analysis up to that point. So on the concept map, and also on that slide there, you can see the link to the, it's a brief online sign-up form that allows you to select a level of participation that you're interested in. So you can just choose what works for you, and anything you can do, is going to help us out. You can also just feel free to email me at dsigfried@ibparticipation.org. My email is there on the concept map and also on the website, of course.